A very good evening, one and all present over here on Zoom, FB Live. I, Dr. Neha Vaidya, Assistant Professor at Sri Udaram Physiotherapy College, on behalf of VN Patel Medical Campus, warmly welcome you all. And I also would like to thank you all for being with us here. Today, we are having one more webinar that is on TM joint dysfunction. It's more prevalent in India, but not more spoken. It's my great pleasure that my colleague Dr. Payal Charanya is going to share her views on TM joint dysfunction with us. Dr. Payal has done her Bachelor's of Physiotherapy and Master's of Physiotherapy in Musculoskeletal Conditions from SPB College of Physiotherapy, Surat. As a colleague, come friend, I see her as very calm and composed, enthusiastic, down-to-earth personality. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Payal Charanya for the commencement of the webinar. Dr. Payal, over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for the wonderful, lovely welcoming. I want to thank you to VN Patel Medical Campus, Sri Udhavam Physiotherapy College, Mehul sir, Prakash sir, for giving me such wonderful opportunity to express and share my views in this live webinar. And thank you to all the participants who are present here for this webinar. Temporomandibular joint dysfunction. First of all, I'm going through the biomechanics of temporomandibular joint. Each TM joint is formed by condyle of head of mandible is inferiorly and articular aminus of temporal bone superiorly with imposed articular disc. The TM joint is formed by the mandibular condyle, which is a part of mandible inferiorly and which articulate with the mandibular fossa of temporal bone. But the mandibular fossa is a translucent and thin, so it's not a primary site for the attachment. So that the mandibular condyle of the temporal mandibular condyle which attaches with the articular aminus of temporal bone, which is the more contain the trabecular bone. Between this, that is a mandibular condyle and articular aminus, between this, that is the articular disc is present, which increase the stability of the joint. Because the articular aminus and mandibular condyle both are in convex in shape, that lead to joint become incongruent, less stable. Between that, there is biconcave disc is present, which increase the stability of the joint. Here in the figure, you can see that disc is present between the mandibular condyle and articular aminus, which increase the joint stability. Joint is divided into two, upper joint and lower joint. Upper joint is formed by the articular aminus of temporal bone and superior surface of the disc. Inferior joint, that is a lower joint. It is formed by the mandibular condyle of mandible and inferior surface of the disc. The superior joint, that is upper joint, is a mainly gliding joint, and inferior joint mainly a simple hinge joint. Okay, here the theoretical explanation. Just I explained there is lower joint and upper joint. Lower joint mainly a simple hinge joint, and upper joint is a gliding joint. I already told you that between mandibular condyle and the articular aminus that the disc is present, because the mandibular condyle and articular aminus both are convex in shape, that lead to joint become incongruent. To improve the stability between that, there is a biconcave disc is present. The articular disc reduce the friction and avoid the biomechanical stresses on the joint. The disc's function is to reduce the stresses on the joint, reduce the friction, reduce the loss of mobility of the joint. Mandibular motion play a role in phonation, facial expression, mastication, and swallowing. The mandible have so much of role during that activity that produce a tremendous amount of forces will be produced at the TM joint, which forces are reduced by the presence of the articular disc. Muscles surrounding the TM joint create great forces during biting and chewing. When we biting a food or at that time, tremendous amount of the force is created at the TM joints, which can reduce by the presence of the disc, and at they generate finely controlled motion that require little force during speaking and swallowing. Here, the attachment of the disc will Here only the upper joint and lower joint. The disc is upper joint is formed by, already I explained, that is the superior surface of the disc and superior and the articular aminus. Inferior joint is formed by the mandibular condyle and inferior surface of the disc. The TM joint is the synovial joint, but there is no hyaline cartilage is present. Here the articular surface of mandibular condyle and articular surface of aminus will be covered by the fibrocartilage, which is the dense avascular connective tissue structure, mainly contain cartilaginous cells. Fibrocartilage is present because it have ability to repair also and remodel itself. So in the TM joint, there is the articular surface of the mandibular condyle and articular aminus is covered by the dense avascular connective tissue structure that is mainly contain cartilaginous cells, that is fibrocartilage. Here the attachment of the disc is shown, that is the anteriorly disc is having attachment with the joint capsule, TM joint capsule and the lateral pterygoid muscle. You can see that lateral pterygoid muscle, and posteriorly disc having attachment with the retrodiscal pad, which is a bilaminar structure, that is superior lamina and inferior lamina. Superior lamina, which is having attachment with the tympanic plate, which is elastic in nature, and the inferior lamina, which is having attachment with the neck of mandible, but it is inelastic. Here the figure that is showing when we open the mouth, that is mandibular depression when occurs, at that time mandibular condyle of mandible and the disc will translate anteriorly. You can see the arrow that is showing anterior translation. And that you can return is that superior lamina on stretch, that is when the disc will translate anteriorly. At that time posterior attachment of the disc is with the superior lamina and inferior lamina. Superior lamina, I already told you that having elastic fiber, so it is stretched during the anterior translation of the disc and allow the full translation of the disc for the mandibular depression. Also its role is to reposition the disc during mouth closing, that is the mandibular elevation. Inferior lamina, I already told you that inelastic, so its function is only to control the anterior forward translation of the disc during mouth opening, that is mandibular depression. Now the ligaments, that is temporomandibular ligament, stylomandibular and sphenomandibular, three major ligaments of the TM joints. In the figure you can see the TM joint capsule, which is firmly attached with the superior, that articular aminus, so it allows the free gliding of the articular aminus, but it is tightly attached with taut attachment with the mandibular condyle. There are the three ligaments, that is temporomandibular ligament, sphenomandibular and stylomandibular. First one, temporomandibular ligament. It's have two portions, that is outer portion also and inner portion. Outer portion you can see there is oblique portion of the temporomandibular ligament, that is the outer portion, which is having attachment from the neck of mandible to the articular aminus of the temporal bone. Its function is to restrict, limit the downward and backward translation of the mandible, and also limit the rotation of the mandibular condyle within the mandibular fossa during the mouth opening, that is depression. There is inner portion, which is the horizontal portion. It is having same attachment but also attached with the disc, that is neck of mandible toward the posterior surface of the disc, and then it attached with the articular aminus. The inner portion function is to limit the posterior backward translation of the mandibular condyle to protect the retrodiscal pad. We already seen in a figure that disc having posteriorly attached with the retrodiscal pad, that is superior lamina and inferior lamina. So inner portion of the TM ligament limit the posterior translation of the mandible to protect the retrodiscal pad, superior and inferior lamina. Then in the figure you can see stylomandibular ligament, which is having attachment with the stylar process to the angle of mandible. Its work is to limit protrusion of the mandible, that is forward motion of the mandible. Then in the figure you can see sphenomandibular ligament, which is the strongest ligament, which is having attachment with the spine of sphenoid bone to the ramus of the mandible. Its function is to limit anterior translation of the mandible. The all ligament have different function. That is temporomandibular ligament, outer portion perform the functions to limit downward and backward translation of mandible, also rotation of the condyle of mandible. Then inner portion limit backward translation of mandible to protect retrodiscal pad. Then sphenomandibular ligament limit the anterior translation of mandible. Stylomandibular ligament limit protrusion, that is forward motion of the mandible. Now the function of the functions, that is mandibular motion, that is mouth opening, which is known as a mandibular depression, mouth closing, which is known as a mandibular elevation, jutting the chin forward, that is forward motion of the chin mandible, that is mandibular protrusion, sliding the teeth backward motion, which is known as a mandibular retrusion, sliding the teeth to either the side, that is known as the lateral deviation of the mandible, that is right side and left side deviation of the mandible. First one, that is mandible elevation and depression. In a figure showing the mouth opening, that is mandibular depression. What occurs when we open the mouth? That is, you can see the arrow, red arrow in the mandibular condyle. When we open the mouth, there is early phase of mouth opening. There is rotation of mandibular condyle occurs. That is rotation, anterior rotation of mandibular condyle along with the inferior surface of the disc that occurs in the lower joint. Lower joint already I explained, that is joint between inferior surface of disc and mandibular condyle. So there is anterior rotation occurs. Mandibular condyle rotate anteriorly in inferior surface with the disc, which occurs in lower joint. That is early phase of mouth opening. Then late phase of mouth opening toward the full mouth opening. That is, you can see arrow. That is straight arrow which is showing translation. That is mandibular condyle translate anteriorly. That is anterior translation of mandibular condyle along with the disc. That is mandibular condyle and disc together along with the articular eminence. That is anterior translation occurs, and which occurs in the upper joint. So that is occurs during the later phase of the mouth opening. The first one start with the rotation of the mandibular condyle, anterior rotation, and then later phase there is translation, anterior translation of mandibular condyle with the disc along with the articular eminence. Okay, now what the changes occur in disc? When the mouth opening, the disc also translate anteriorly. Okay, I already show the attachment of the disc. Anteriorly, disc attached with the lateral pterygoid muscle and posterior with the retrodiscal pad, that is superior lamina and inferior lamina. So the attachment of the lateral pterygoid muscle with the anterior surface of the disc help the active work of the lateral pterygoid to allow the disc to translate anteriorly. So during the mouth opening, when the disc will translate anteriorly, at that time lateral pterygoid muscle work actively, contract to allow the disc to translate anteriorly. And then opposite changes occurs during the mouth closing, that is the elevation. During mouth closing elevation, at that time posterior rotation and posterior translation will be occurs. And at that time this lateral pterygoid muscle work eccentrically to allow for the posterior translation of the disc. And at that time I already showed that posteriorly disc have attachment with the superior lamina, which is elastic in nature. So during mouth opening, it allow the anterior translation of the disc, but during mouth closing, there is elevation of the mandible. It allows the disc to reposition, so allow the disc to come to normal position during the mouth closing. There is elevation. Okay, so during the mandibular depression, okay, when we open the mouth, early phase there is only rotation occurs, mandibular condyle rotation, and later phase there is the anterior translation of the mandibular condyle with the disc and along with the articular eminence. And this anterior translation will be achieved by the attachment of the lateral pterygoid muscle, which work actively during mandibular opening and work eccentrically during mouth closing, elevation of mandible. This is functional test. Tell the patients to place the two knuckles between upper and lower incisor. If the patient able to place two knuckles, which is considered functional position, functional range of motion. If able to place three knuckles, which is considered normal. Okay, the first one we see about the mandibular depression and elevation. Now protrusion and retrusion. Protrusion, that is a forward motion of the mandible, and retrusion, that is a backward motion of the mandible. When we move the mandible forward, that is a considered protrusion. At that time motion occurs in the upper joint, that is a mandibular condyle and disc translate forward and inferiorly. And the posterior attachment of the disc, that is already I show that posterior disc attached with the superior lamina and inferior lamina, which is superior lamina is elastic, which restrict the further motion of the mandibular protrusion. That is protrusion, that is forward motion occurs, and retrusion, that is a backward motion will be occur. And retrusion will be limited by the presence of the retrodiscal pad. More protrusion will be occur that lead to the compression of the retrodiscal pad. So the retrusion will be limited by presence of the retrodiscal pad, that is bilamellar structure, superior lamina and inferior lamina. So protrusion, that is a forward motion and retrusion, that is a backward motion. Full range of protrusion is essential for the full mouth opening. When we open the mouth, there is mandibular depression and protrusion occur. When we close the mouth, there is a mandibular elevation and retrusion will be occur. Now mandibular lateral deviation, that is side motion. Okay, right side or left side. In the left hand side figure, you can see that when we move the mandible toward the right side, when you move the mandible toward the right side, same side, there is a rotation of the mandibular condyle. Condyle will be rotated within the mandibular fossa along the vertical axis. And opposite side, you can see the arrow translation will be shown, that is anterior translation of the mandibular condyle occurs on a contralateral side. Right hand side figure, that is showing the left side mandibular deviation. The left side, when we do the mandibular deviation, the same side, there is the rotation of the condyle will be occurs along the vertical axis. And opposite, there is contralateral side, there is anterior sliding will be occurs. Okay, there is sideways motion of the mandible. Okay, the mandibular motions are
All the participants wait for 5 minutes.
Sorry for the interruption, participants. It seems that there is some technical error. Ma'am will be back soon within few minutes. Please wait for some time.
Ma'am, when it gets stopped, which slide number? Ma'am, is it visible, my slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
can you tell me which slide number
Facing.
is get stopped? एक मिनट हाँ, just a minute.
Hello participants, it seems that there is some technical error or technical issues ma'am is having with the network. So be with us and stay tuned for some time. Ma'am will be back soon.
Ma'am, is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
ઓકે મેમ કઈ સ્લાઇડ નંબરથી બંધ થયું હતું કઈ કહેશો?
Okay. Okay, this slide.
આ સ્લાઇડ ઓકે
I
ઓકે
take it.
Ma'am, you can start with a
okay 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 we discuss about the osseous mobility condition, that is hypermobility or dislocation. If the person is suffering from the laxity of the capsule, ligament, tendon, then patient may suffer with the increasing the mobility, that lead to the person may suffer from the hypermobility condition. If that joint is in the dislocation, what occurs, that is the joint is moving, articular mandibular condyle is moving extreme range of motion, that lead to the joint become lock in position, person have difficulty in closing the mouth, that is mandibular elevation, person have difficulty in mandibular elevation. Then next is articular displacement. Already we can see that between the mandibular condyle and articular eminence, that is a disc is present. If there is displacement of the disc occurs, what occurs normally when we move perform the movement, I already told you that when open the mouth, at the time normal translation motion will be occurs. In that time what occurs, if the disc will translate more anteriorly, okay, anterior translation of the disc will occurs and that produce a clicking sound. Person tells that when I open the mouth, at the time clicking sound will be produced, and when I close the mouth, again at the time clicking sound will be produced. It is told as a reciprocal clicking, that is on in opening of mouth disc will get displaced, during closing of mouth disc again come to its neutral position, normal position, that is known as a reciprocal clicking, that is disc get displaced with a reduction. If the disc only one clicking will present, that is during opening click will be present, but during closing only one click is present, that is considered to be a displacement without reduction. In locking, you can then see the third finger, disc is moving extreme range and range position, which is creating mechanical block. So it create mechanical block for the mouth closing, that is a mandibular elevation. Person have difficulty in closing the mouth. That is locking position, which is occurs in the dislocation of the TM joint also, and disc displaced without reduction. That is a locking of the joint occur. That is person having difficulty in closing of the mouth. In the figure center, you can see that disc is displaced anteriorly so much that is moving in extreme range of motion, that creating a mechanical block for the motion of the mandible. It may occur due to the attachment of the lateral pterygoid. Anteriorly, I already show you that. Already told you in this figure, you can see that anteriorly there is lateral pterygoid muscle is attached with the disc. If there is a hyperactivity of the lateral pterygoid muscle, which what it could, that is creating an anterior translatory force increases. It continuously creating anterior translatory force and not allow the disc to translate posteriorly during the mouth closing. So the disc will displace anteriorly. This is due to the overactivity of the lateral pterygoid muscle. Then another conditions may be responsible, that is degenerative conditions like osteoarthritis, where the joint degenerative condition where the joint space get reducing, osteophytes formation, sclerosis, erosions of the surfaces. Then another, that is rheumatoid arthritis, where also be there is a joint get degenerative changes will be occurs in the joint. Then poor oral hygiene. If the person's hygiene of the oral is poor, that lead to the bacterial ingrowth and that lead to infection and inflammation. Then gum chewing. If the patient having habit of gum chewing, that lead to the increasing muscle, they lead to the muscle spasm of the muscles surrounding head, neck, and jaw. Then bruxism, that is a grinding of teeth. Grinding of teeth that lead to the normal position of teeth get altered. That lead to the teeth position in abnormally, and also misalignment of the biting forces will occur. Then in open mouth breathing, if the person is taking breath from the mouth, what occurs? The normal resting position of the tongue, it get altered. Normal resting position of the tongue is when the mouth is closed. Tongue is having contact with the hard palate. Okay. If the mouth is remain open for the breathing, what occurs? The tongue is position depressed. Downward position of the tongue will occur. Also the mandible position get changes. That is, mandible is remaining depression position. So it get changes occurs in the mandibular position. And the muscle spasm surrounding the TM joint muscle due to the overactivity, spasm will be occur, and that also lead to the dysfunction of the TM joint. Or any trauma, that is the next is any trauma that is lead to the wear and tear of the cartilage inside the joint, that also lead to the TM joint dysfunction. These are the causes for the TM joint dysfunction. Now, relationship with the cervical spine. TM joint and cervical spine are interlinked, connected to each other. The cervical spine and TM joint are intimately connected. Many of the muscles that attach to the mandible also have attachment. With the head, to the hyoid bone and clavicle. So not only having mandible and the temporal, but also having attachment with the cervical, also having attachment, also clavicle, hyoid bone, cranium. So any TM joint and the cervical spine are connected to each other. Head and neck position too may affect the tension in cervical muscle, that in turn may affect the position and function of the mandible. That is, any tension in the cervical muscle get increase or decrease, any change in position of the cervical muscle, that also affect the position and function of the mandible is also get affected. That is affection of TM joint. That is poor cervical posture. If the body posture of the person is not correct, that lead to the muscle imbalance will be occur. That is, one side of muscle become shorter, on one side, other side of the muscle become lengthen. That is, imbalance of the muscle will be occurs. The poor cervical posture over the time may lead to adaptive shortening and lengthening the muscle around the head, cervical spine, affecting range of motion, muscle force production capacity, joint morphology in involved region. So when the posture get altered, that also lead to the imbalancement of the muscle will be occurs. One side become shorter, another side will become lengthen. So the activity of muscle imbalance will be lost, and that also lead to the affection of the range of motion and biomechanics of the joint. Here the figure you can see the person having forward head posture. First I explain mouth breathe. Okay, if the person taking breath from the mouth, what occurs? That leads to the tongue normal resting position get altered. That is, in normal resting position, when the mouth is closed, at that time tongue have contact with the hard palate. But when the person taking breath from the mouth, at that time tongue is positioned downward, depressed position, and mandible is also in a depressed position, downward position. Okay, that lead to the upper airway get narrowing. To improve the upper airway space, the head is forced anteriorly. That is, forward head posture will be developed. Secondary to mouth breathing. That lead to forward head posture. We all know that in the posterior neck muscle get shorter, anterior neck muscle get a lengthen in the length. In the figure, you can see the arrow, which is showing that posterior arrow and downward arrow. That is show that the activity of the suprahyoid and infrahyoid muscle. What it called? It called the mandible to depression and backward translation of the mandible, and it creating the compression forces on the TM joint will be get increases. So because of the activity of supra and infrared muscle that pull the mandible in depression position, also translation posterior will be occurs, and that lead to increasing compression forces on the TM joint. And also forward head person with having forward head posture, then also having shuttling between opening and closing of the mouth, and that is secondary lead to the TM joint capsule become lax. Laxity of the capsule lead to person in future suffering from the hypermobility of the joint. So the mouth breathing can lead to the forward head posture that lead to the changing in mandibular positions, and that lead to changing the TM joint stressing forces, compression forces get increased, laxity will be occurs in capsule, and that in future person suffer from the hypermobility. Now the sign and symptom of TM joint dysfunction. The first of all is the pain in area of the jaw, then increase and decrease in activity, active and passive range of motion according to hypermobility or hypermobility. Then popping and clicking noises, that is if dislocated, that a person feeling a locking of the joint, and the clicking sound if this get displaced in opening, the disc get displaced, that produce a clicking sound, and the closing that again come to neutral position, that is also produce clicking sound, that is reciprocal clicking will be present in disc displacement with reduction. Okay, or also hypermobility of the joint, at that time also clicking will present, that the person says my joint goes out of the place, that produce clicking sound. Then difficulty with functional activity like eating, talking. Then parafunctional activity like clenching a teeth, nail biting, and pencil chewing. This activity like a pencil chewing, nail biting, and clenching, that clenching a teeth, that increased stresses on the TMs will get more increase. So if the person having this habit, you should tell the patient to stop that activities. Then catching the and locking of the jaw. Locking occurs when the dislocation of the jaw will occur, or disc displacement will occur without reduction. If the disc is in extreme range position or joint is in extreme range position, at that time locking of the joint occurs. Person is unable to close the mouth. And last one is a forward head posture. Now temporomandibular joint evaluation. First one is a history, when the problem started, now how it occurred, as well as previous management and result obtained is helpful. If the first time it occurs or any previous episode, if the capsulitis, history of the capsulitis, recurrent attack of capsulitis may lead to the capsular fibrosis, overproduction of the fibrous connective tissue. Then history, if the first time patient having this problem, or in the past, in a past also patient having the same problem. If the problem was caused by injury, any traumatic history or surgical procedure, or maybe sometime dental procedure that require prolonged mouth opening, mouth depression will be required for the prolonged period of time. So after the procedure, person may suffer from the TM joint problems. That the some question you can ask to the patients like does the joint grate, click, pop, snap, or lock? There is any clicking sound will be produced that at the you can feel at the mandibular corner. Any clicking sound will produce during mouth opening, during mouth closing. Any locking of the joint will be occurs. Do you have difficulty in opening and closing of the mouth? If the opening having problem, that may be the extra-articular problem, that is maybe the postural abnormality or muscular pathology. And in the having difficulty in closing of the mouth due to the intra-articular pathology, due to the hypermobility of the joint, disc derangement of the or way, that are the changes. Do you have frequent headache? What area of the head and how long do they last? Because the muscle surrounding the TM joint muscle also have a connection with the head, jaw, cervical. So because of that spasm of the muscle, patient may suffer from the headache also. In forward head portion also there may lead to the suboccipital muscle get tightened. Okay, or sometimes there may be be the enter of the greater occipital nerve. So that also lead to the person suffering from the headache, which is present in the posterior aspect of the head or the occipital region. So which area of the head where the patient feeling the headache, which is important. Have you ever had severe blow to the head or whiplash injury? The history of any injury to the TM joint. Are your jaw clenched or your teeth sore when you awake for the sleep? Okay, clenching of the teeth, grinding of the teeth, which lead to the stressing of the TM joint get also increases, and also lead to the abnormal position of the teeth. If the person having such habit, you can tell the patient to stop. Then physical examination observation, first of all, is the posture. Posture of the patient is most important. The observation physically, the typical patient with the temporomandibular joint pain dysfunction with an emotional overlay has posture of elevated shoulder, forward head, stiff neck and back, and shallow and restricted breathing. The patient is observed for facial expression and habit for jaw, like clenching or grinding a teeth, biting a finger, twitching a masseter, because this activity increases the compressive forces on the TM joint. If the person having such habit, you should observe for that. Then inspection of the head, face and neck, that is skin. First of all, examine face for the blemishes, moles, pigmentation, scar. Any scar will be present, any textures. Then soft tissue, that is for the any swelling, effusion, edema is there or not, atrophy and hypertrophy, overactivity of the muscle is there, muscle is spasm in the muscle. Then bony structures and alignment. The profile of the face in both the frontal and sagittal plane will reveal the relative development of the skull, face and mandible. If the not proper development of the skull, mandible, teeth will occur that lead to the stresses on the TM joint get altered. Occlusal rest position. Jaw rest position is also important. Contact of the teeth. Then abnormal protrusive positions may be associated with the tongue thrust or habitual protrusion. If the protrusion, abnormal protrusive position will lead to the tongue will more protrude, more position in the anteriorly. Tongue will force anteriorly. There is a vertical dimension measurement figure. You can see the measurement of the vertical dimension. That is a 3-line draw by pupittal line, otic and occlusive. 3 lines should be parallel. If the person have occlusive line, that is if the person have loss of the teeth or not a proper development of the mandible, the 3 lines should not be parallel. That is loss of the vertical dimension. Then simple method to measure vertical dimension is the, you can see in the figure that you measure the distance from the lateral aspect of the eye to the corner of the mouth, and second line draw from the tip of the chin to the tip of the nose. 2 lines should be equal in measurement. If the second line, that is the nose to the tip of the nose to tip of the chin, if the second line measurement is reduced, that indicate the maybe the person have loss of the teeth, posterior teeth will be lost, and that lead to the increasing joint compressive stresses. TM joint compressive stresses get increases, also lead to the tightness of the masticatory muscles. Then is malocclusion, that is abnormal position of the teeth. There is class 2 and class 3 malocclusion. Class 2 malocclusion, that is overbite. There is lower teeth. You can see the mandibular teeth, lower first molar have position posteriorly compared to upper, and that lead to retrusion of the mandible. Mandible is positioned backward, and that lead to the compression on the retrodiscal pad will be get increased. In the left hand side figure, there is underbite, class 3 occlusion, which occurs when the lower teeth are positioned more anteriorly compared to the upper teeth. Lower teeth are positioned anteriorly, that lead to the mandible is in protrusion position. That creates stretching force on the posterior attachment of the disc, that is superior lamina inferior, that is retrodiscal pad. Okay, then in the class 2 occlusion, that is the teeth are positioned, lower teeth are in somewhat posterior position, posterior, that lead to mandible in retrusion position. And the class 3 occlusion, that is the underbite, that lead to the lower teeth are positioned anteriorly, and that lead to the protrusion of the mandible. Then mandibular measurement, that is measurement from the mandibular condyle to the arch of tip of the chin. Both the sides should be measured and equal. Both the measurements should be equal. If the measurement should not equal, that lead to the mandible should not remain in the midline. Then measurement joint plane movement, that is applying repeated gentle oscillations. The movement are classified as a normal, hypo or hyper. First of all is the anterior glide. The therapist wear the rubber gloves, place her thumb inside the patient's mouth in the lower jaw, lower teeth, and the finger is outside the mandible, hold the mandible outside. Then the thumb, which is inside, which is applying pressure anteriorly, and the fingers, which is outside, which is glide, pull the mandible anteriorly and inferiorly. Then in the lateral glide, patient is in supine position, slightly open the mouth. Therapist wear the rubber gloves, place his thumb inside the mouth, patient's mouth, place on the medial aspect of the mandible and the teeth, and they glide the mandible in the laterally. Then next is the medial glide. For the patient is in sideline position, that the place the thumb on the mandibular condyle. You have to place the thumb over the mandibular condyle, other thumb to reinforce it, and then glide the mandible medially. Apply the glide medially. Then posterior glide, same way, but you have to give the pressure posterior. That is, one thumb is placed on the mandibular condyle, another thumb to reinforce it and apply the mandibular condyle, glide it posteriorly. Then next is the palpation. For the first one is the scheme. Palpate for the warmth, tenderness is any present, temperature, and the moistures and mobility. Then muscle, palpate for consistency, mobility, continuity, tenderness, pain, and sign of spasm. Any spasm is present, any muscle, any tenderness will be present, and the pain in the muscle is get present or not. Okay, the first is the lesser occipital nerve. Because of entrapment, occipital nerve get entrapped, that also lead to the patient suffering from the headache. The lesser occipital nerve, then greater occipital nerve and suboccipital musculature, which I get tightened in forward head posture. Suboccipital muscle also get tight. A person may suffer from the headache. We can just palpate from the occipital protuberance to one third of the lateral to occipital protuberance, that is greater occipital nerve. Then temporalis muscle, just palpate on the temporal bone, that is having from the attachment from the cranium to the coronoid and to the ramus of the mandible. Then masseter, you can palpate inside the mouth, okay, the ramus of the mandible. Also, you can palpate outside at the ramus of the mandible. Any tenderness is present in the muscle or muscle is in spasm. Okay, muscle spasm get also lead to the dysfunction or increasing the producing a pain in the TM joint. Then lateral pterygoid muscle, which is palpate the neck of the mandible, which is most important for the opening of the mouth. There is a balance between the lateral pterygoid and suprahyoid muscle work in balance synergistically to perform the mouth opening. So the lateral pterygoid muscle, is there any spasm or tenderness is present? Then also sternocleidomastoid for the person who taking breath from the mouth, that rely on the accessory muscle for aspiration. So that may lead to the overactivity of the sternocleidomastoid muscle. Then thyroid cartilage and longus colli. Then also involvement of the another joint of shoulder complex. Also person may suffer from the forward head, that also lead to the changing the posture of the shoulder, also protected shoulder, elevated. So you have to assess for the shoulder position also. There is suprasternal notch, sternoclavicular joint, then acromoclavicular joint. Next one is the dermatum of the head. So I already told you that TM joint and cervical all are connected. Okay, so you have to assess for if the person having any symptom in the dermatomal pattern. If the involvement C1, C2, C3. If the person having involvement of symptom in the dermatomal pattern, that indicate involvement of the dermatom. This is showing the Rafford pattern from the TM joint. That is, I will explain, that is muscle wise. Which muscle is involved and which the Rafford pattern of that muscle. If the masseter, that is Rafford pattern of that muscle is pain toward the cheeks, mandibles to the forehead or the ear. If the temporalis is get involved, if the Rafford pattern of the pain is toward the maxilla to forehead, side of the head, above the ears. Then medial pterygoid, posterior mandible to the temporomandibular joint. Then lateral pterygoid, cheeks to the temporomandibular joint. Digastric, there is lateral cervical spine to the posterolateral skull. Then occipitofrontal, there is above the eye, over the eyelids, up over the lateral aspect of the skull. Okay, the muscle get involved. You can palpation, you can feel the tenderness, muscle spasm, and also Rafford pattern. If the muscle get involved in the Rafford pain, is in that direction, that indicate the involvement of that particular muscle. Then jaw reflex because the TM joint is supplied by the mandibular division of the fifth cranial nerve, trigeminal. So you have to check for the jaw reflex. Then movements, active movement as well as passive. Active movement of the cervical spine also and TM joint also. Any restriction is present, any pain is present in the movement, you have to assess for that. Pain accompanying active movements and in what part of the range it occurs or where. If the pain is occurs during the active movement, patient is able to complete the active movement, or during the movement patient feel the pain, in which range patient feeling the pain. Pain may be felt in the area of the joint above the ear, but often it is felt diffusely through the face, teeth, jaw, and mouth. The abnormal movements such as jumps or the facetal slip. Is there any abnormal movement? Because the mouth opening, if there is the hypermobility, is that there may be clicking sound will be produced. If the disc get displaced during the mouth opening, at that time also clicking sound will be produced. Or also reciprocal clicking, disc displacement with reduction, at that time reciprocal clicking will be present. So during the active movement, any clicking sound will be produced or not. Then restriction of the movement and deviation to the one side. Okay, if the person having a one side hypermobility, at the time when open the mouth, then lead to the deviation of the mandible toward the opposite side. So you have to see the movement. If the person open the mouth, is the mandible remain in the middle or it deviate toward the another side? Or asynchronous pattern of the movement. Any symmetry is present or asynchronous movement. Mandible should remain in the midline, or any deviation of the mandible is present, or any restriction of the movement is there. The active movement should be done, and any restriction is there, any clicking sound will be produced during the movement, any mandibular deviation will be occurred during performing active movement, or patient feeling any restriction of the movement. The passive movement is just to perform for the anfield, palpation of the anfield. Then cranial nerve testing. If you find it out there is involvement of any cranial nerve, then go through the cranial nerve testing. Then resistant movement. Static test, determine the strength and presence of pain by applying resistance to the mandibular opening, closing, protrusion, and lateral deviation. That is measuring the strength. Okay, first one figure, A figure showing the measure the strength of mandibular depression. Okay, therapist place the hand under the chin. Tell the patients to open the mouth against the resistance for mandibular depression strength. Second figure showing the strength testing for the mandibular elevator. We have given the resistance toward the depression. Tell the patients to perform the mandibular elevation, that is closing of the mouth. In that figure, C figure, you can see that is alternate technique of the mandibular elevation strength. Tell the therapist place the two fingers, index and middle finger, inside the patient lower teeth and apply downward pressure, that is depression pressure, and tell the patients to perform the mandibular elevation, that is closing of the mouth. Then last one is the lateral deviation, that is sideways movement. Okay, then apply the pressure toward the opposite side and tell the patients to perform the movement. Now the treatment technique. In the medical intervention, it is considered the medication given like inflammatory substitution like an NSAIDs or muscle relaxants. Then in the physiotherapy management, that is the first of all aim of the treatment is to reduce the pain, minimize the stiffness, restore the function, and teach the management strategies. Okay, you can give a moist pack, ice application to reduce the swelling. Then soft diet. This is very important to prescribe a soft diet. Tell the patients to eat a soft diet. Okay, when we eat a hard food which require more biting force, I already told you, when we eat a food biting force that create more tremendous force will be increased in the TM joint. If we eat a hard food, then further increasing the stresses on the TM joint. So tell the patient to eat a soft food. Then reducing the TM joint stretching, like the grinding a teeth, then the placing the hand under the chin, or chewing a pencil, then biting a nail. And posture is very much important. If the forward head posture that lead to the alteration of the position of the mandible, that is mandibular depression and backward posterior translation. So the proper posture educations, and avoid the eating a hard foods. Okay, the soft diet will be important to reduce the stresses on the TM joint. Then soft tissue techniques. to reduce the spasm. Okay, the deep friction massage to the capsule of joint, gentle kneading, stroking techniques intraorally to inhibit the pain, to the insertion of the temporalis, medial and lateral pterygoid muscle. They reduce the tension in the muscles. Muscle tension can be reduced and allow the mobility. Mobility of the structure will be increased, and that allow the further range of motion, increasing range of motion. Then deep pressure joint massage, connective tissue massage, then myofascial release is then muscle energy or post isometric relaxation technique. That is muscle energy technique is based on the post isometric contraction of the muscle lead to the after contraction muscle get relaxed, and that allow the further range of motion, increasing range of motion. And stretching techniques. Okay, you can give the massage, kneading, deep friction massage intraorally. You can give it for the temporalis, okay, the ramus of mandible. Medial pterygoid at the angle of mandible, you can palpate, or on the palpation you feel the tenderness, the muscle has spasm, you give the massage, kneading, affluras, deep friction massage. Then medial pterygoid can give intraorally, okay, at the angle of mandible. Okay, lateral pterygoid, you can give lateral pterygoid massage also intraorally. Okay, over the neck of mandible, because lateral pterygoid muscle overactivity which lead to anterior translation of the disc, and disc displacement occurs without reduction. The muscle are overactive that lead to the person suffering from the disc displacement with reduction, without reduction. Then amity for the digastric is the most important muscle for the mouth opening. Okay, mandibular depression. Then that one hand of the therapist is in supine line, one hand of the therapist is placed under the chin to resist the mandibular depression, mouth opening. Another hand is on the higher bone to stabilize it. Okay, and they tell the patients to perform the mouth opening. Again, the therapist resistance, hold for the 5 to 6 seconds and then relax. Okay, relaxation give the allow the reciprocal inhibition, that is muscle get relaxed. Relaxation of the muscle allow the further range of motion. Also, you can teach the patient self amity, that is one hand placed under the chin, another hand to stabilize higher bone under the chin, which is giving resistance to the mouth opening. Okay, mouth opening against the resistance, that is isometric contraction, hold it for 5 to 6 seconds and then relax. Okay, and always contract the muscle at the 1/3 of the force, not a full strength. You cannot use a full strength, only use a 1/3 of the strength for the contraction of the muscle. For the hold for 5 to 6 seconds and then relax, and repeat for the 6 to 7 times. Then stretching technique is also useful, that is help to break up the muscle spasm and on the other to maintain and increase limited jaw movement to full physiological function. Muscle spasm get break up, muscle increase in tension in the muscle which get reduced, allow the increased mobility. Then active stretch, that is then divided into active stretch also and passive stretch. Active stretch, patient actively open his mouth as wide as possible several times following the series of warm-up exercises. So several times patients perform the opening and closing for as a warm-up exercise. By having the patients repeat a gentle rhythmic hinge-like movement a number of times before active stretch, muscle spasm can be physiologically diminished and eliminated. While performing fewer times, several times patient perform the opening, closing, and that lead to the physiologically diminish the muscle spasm. Instruct the patients to open her mouth slowly and rhythmically with his limited range 10 times as so in succession. Okay, to tell the patients to open the mouth in limited range, not in a full range. When we started the exercise, instruct the patients to perform within the limited range. Then she perform active stretch by opening her mouth as wide as possible. First, within the range, patient perform the mouth opening. After that, patient perform the mouth opening toward the as wide as possible within pain-free limit and as slowly as he can 2 or 3 times. The opening portion should be held for 5 seconds, followed by the relaxation in the rest position for the 5 seconds. Opening, hold for the 5 and then relaxation. Also during this movement, tell the patients to place the index finger on the lateral pole of mandibular condyle. You can place the index finger or the mandibular condyle to palpate the synchronicity of the movement. Right and left side, there is any abnormality or synchronicity is present. Okay, tell the patient to place the finger or index finger on the mandibular condyle and perform the mouth opening. First starting with the limited range and then moving toward the full mouth opening. Then also patient can practice actively, that is protrusion, retrusion or sideways movement of the mandible, that is lateral deviation. Then also neuromuscular facilitation exercise is also useful, that is hold and relax, which is based on reciprocal inhibition. There is contraction of the antagonist muscle. Muscle get contract against the resistance, which lead to muscle get relaxed after the contraction, which allow the further range of motion. If you want to increase the mouth opening, at that time tell the patient to close the mouth against the therapist resistance. That is isometric contraction of the antagonist muscle, that is elevator. After that, hold for the few seconds, then relaxation. Then relaxation of the muscle elevator, which allow the further range of motion, increase the range of motion for the mouth opening. So hold and relax techniques also useful. Then passive stretching, that is a prolonged passive stretch can be used, that is series of tongue blade. That is in the figure you can see, that is you can use tongue blade, that is the wooden stick or ice cream stick, that is placed inside the patient's mouth. Gradually increase the number of the stick until the patient having normal range of mouth opening. That is giving the prolonged continuous stretching. That is prolonged stretching series of tongue blade can be used. As a jaw being to relax, additional tongue blades may be added. Okay, start with the two. If you started with the 2 tongue blades, then it gradually muscle get relaxed, increase the range, add the another tongue blades, another sticks. Okay, to increase moving toward the full range of motion. Then prolonged stretch is usually applied for the 15 to 20 minutes. Then facial muscle relaxation and tongue proprioception and control. Okay, the tongue positions is very important. Tongue proprioceptions. Place the first exercise. Place the tip of the tongue on the hard palate behind the front teeth and draw the little circle or letter on the palate. You can perform right now on yourself also. There is a place the tongue behind the front of the teeth on the hard palate. That is a resting position of the tongue when the mouth is closed. At contact with the tongue, contact with the hard palate and draw the letter circle or any letters. Then place the tip of the tongues on the hard palate and blow the air out to vibrate the tongue and making a rush sound. Okay, you can perform on yourself also. Place the tongue on the hard palate. First one exercise is to draw the circle or letter. Second one is blow the air and produce a vibration, which is producing a sound. Then third one is fill the cheeks with the air, that is mouth closed, and fill the air inside the cheeks and then let air out in the puff. Then next is making clicking sound with the tongue on the roof of the mouth. Okay, the next one is patient having contact of the tongue with the palate, hard palate, and making a clicking sound with the tongue. When doing so, the jaw drop open quickly and return with the teeth slightly open, and usually tongue rests on the hard palate behind the front teeth. This is the resting position of the jaw and is also the first step in teaching relaxation exercise. This is normal resting position of the tongue. There is a tongue having contact with the palate. You have to teach the patient about the normal resting position of the tongue. Then resistive tongue exercises. You can add a resistance for movement of the tongue, like a forward movement, backward, sideways movement, right and left side, upward and downward. Also give resistance to movement with the tongue blade. Okay, that is a proprioceptive exercises, the tongue. Then next one is the control of the jaw muscles. First is the recognition of resting. First of all, teach about the resting position of the jaw. Lips are closed, teeth slightly apart, tongue resting slightly or lightly on the hard palate behind the front teeth. That is the resting position of the tongue. Resting point, the lips are closed, teeth are slightly apart, and tongue are contact with the hard palate. The patient should breathe in and out slowly through the nose using diaphragmatic breathing. Teach the control by opening and closing the jaw through the first half of of the range of motion. With the tongue on the roof of the mouth, the patient open the mouth, trying to keep the chin in midline. Use a mirror for the visual reinforcement. In that exercise, tell the patient to first of all make the index finger contact with the mandibular contact. After that, tell the patient to make a contact of tongue with the hard palate. While maintaining contact of the tongue with the hard palate, open the mouth. If any deviation will be occurs, for that you can tell the patient to perform the exercise in front of the mirror, so it gives a visual feedback to the patient. Patient is also taught to lightly palpate the lateral pole of the each condyle of the mandible bilateral to attempt to maintain symmetry between the movement of two sides when opening and closing of the mouth. That is, placing the index finger on the both the side of the mandibular condyle. You can place on the lateral pole of the mandibular condyle to palpate the movement. Symmetrical movement will be occurred between the right and left, and then make the contact of tongue with the hard palate and perform the mouth opening, or any deviation will be present or not. Therefore, that tell the patients to perform exercise in the front of mirror. If the jaw deviates while opening or closing, how the patient practice lateral deviation to the opposite side. If any deviation will be occurs, so tell the patients to perform the deviation toward the opposite side. Lateral motion should not be excessive or not cause a pain. Progress to applying gentle resistance with the thumb against the chin. Do not overpower the muscle. Okay, we have to just applying the place the thumb under the chin and apply resistance to the mouth opening. Okay. Then next one is a neuromuscular coordination of the temporomandibular joint. That is, if there is, I already told you that when open the mouth, there is balance between synergistic action of the suprahard muscle and lateral pterygoid muscle. If there is balance of this muscle, I get lost. Imbalance of this muscle will occur. That lead to excessive protrusion of the mandible when we open the mouth, and then it lead to the first translation occurs and then rotation occurs. I already told you, when open the mouth, early phase of the mandible opening, first rotation of the mandibular condyle, after that translation will occur. But in that condition where there is a balance of the muscle get lost, at that time first translation occurs and rotation after that, and also lead to excessive protrusion of the mandible. In that case, you have to teach the patient about the neuromuscular coordination of the TM joint. In that, tell the patient to first, in that figure you can see that she is place her right index finger or the mandibular condyle to palpate the movement. Okay, feel the movement of the mandibular condyle during mouth opening. Tell the patients to place the tongue with the contact with the hard palate. Okay, when we make the tongue with the contact with the hard palate and perform the mouth opening. Okay, contact of the tongue with the hard palate, it eliminates the protrusion component. Okay, in that figure you can see the left hand of the lady will be placed, that is finger will be, thumb is on the under the chin, on the finger is on the front of the chin to guide the motion, front of the chin to guide the assist the motion also, and also in progression you give the resistance by the placing the thumb under the chin. Tell the patients to make the contact of tongue with the hard palate, and with the making contact with the hard palate, perform the mouth opening. Okay, in progression you can add a resistance by the thumb, placing a thumb under the chin and resist the mandibular opening, mandibular depression. By that you can gain the balance of the synergistic action of the suprahard muscle and the lateral pterygoid. Then mobilization technique, if the hypomobility is there is TM joint mobilization. Also cervical, if there involvement of the cervical spine, in that also hypomobility is there present, then also mobilization of the cervical spine. First one is a caudal traction. In that therapy where the rubber gloves place one hand, right hand is to stabilize the head, another hand, that is thumb, is placed inside the lower teeth and apply the glide caudally downward. Then next one is the protrusion, ventral glide. Therapist stands side of the patient's one hand, right hand to stabilize the head between the therapist's body, and left hand finger holding the ramus of mandible, other finger to hold the jaw, and then glide in protrusion direct. Then medial lateral, therapist is standing behind the patient. One hand, that is right hand, holding the patient's head, stabilize the head. Another hand, that is left hand, hypothenar heminis, holding the patient left TM joints, and finger just to hold the jaw. And then applying the glide medially and laterally. The next one is the patient's education. Education about if the patient having any habit of clenching a teeth, putting a hand under the chins, pencil chewing, nail biting. Okay, that creating increasing the stresses on the joints. So you have to tell the patient to stop that activities. Then posture correction. If the forward head posture is that, you have to tell the about exercises you can include to correct the posture. Educate patient about the correction of the posture. If they're due to the occupation, its posture will be developed to correct ergonomics should be advised for the occupation. Then the relaxation training. Relaxation of the whole body or body region is frequently indicated in the treatment of this only the tense patient, because of the TM joint patient always suffer from the stress, because loss of the functional activity like a talking, chewing, that activity get restricted, lost. It that lead to the person become so anxious or stressful. So the relaxation exercises should be included in the rehabilitation program. More often than not, general relaxation technique will have to be preceded training for the local relaxation. Then cervical. If the involvement of the cervical spine is there, any hypermobility is there, any muscle tightness is there, muscle weakness is there, so you can include exercises accordingly. You can include traction, exercises, and mobilization. Then swallow sequences. If person having mouth breathing, that lead to tongue will be positioned down, and that also lead to the person may suffer from the swallowing difficulties, swallowing problem. They instruct in the normal resting position of the tongue and proper swallowing. Okay, always if the patient is mouth breather, forward head position, so always teach about the normal resting position. When the mouth is closed, the tongue having contact with the hard palate. Then maintain of the correct head on the neck posture. Okay, proper head positioning, because you have the forward head posture, you already see in the figure. If the person suffering from the forward head posture, that also lead to the changing in the position of the mandible. Mandible will now depression of the mandible and backward translation of the mandible occur. The proper position of the head and neck, which is very important. Then talking with the cork in the mouth, that is this one exercise. Cork is placed inside the mouth between upper and lower incisor. The size of the cork depends upon how much patient is able to open the mouth. You can tell the patients while maintaining a cork between the upper and lower incisor, speak aloud. Now after removing the cork, speak again what is just is said. Okay, that is improving the swallowing or the speech also, because infrahard muscle, suprahard muscle, all are involved in the speech position, speech, swallowing also, and maintenance of the proper tongue position. Then diaphragmatic breathing, which is very important for the person who taking breath from the mouth, because it rely on the accessory muscle. So you have to teach proper diaphragmatic breathing. Then occlusal splint. This one is this, that is a splint which maintain the upper and lower teeth apart, separate, because a person which having clenching of teeth, grinding of teeth, that lead to compressive stresses will increase. If you giving occlusive splint, that reduce the contact of the teeth and reduces stresses on the compressive stresses on the TM joint, that give relaxation to the muscle, and muscle spasm also get reduces, and inflammation pain symptom get reduced. With that, you can prescribe muscle relaxation medications, non-inflammatory medications to reduce the inflammation. Then behavioral modification. Help the patient understand and avoid stress-related lifestyle habits like clenching, bruxism, grinding of teeth, excessive gum chewing, because this all activity increases the stress on the TM joints. Okay, person, if someone suffer from the stress also lead to the grinding of teeth, and that also lead to the muscle spasm. Okay, to avoid of the stress is one of the treatment for the prevention of the TM joint dysfunction or TM joint pain. Then psychological consultation for the stress management. You can tell the patient for the relaxation exercises, yoga, meditation to relaxation for reducing the stress, because stress also lead to the grinding of teeth, muscle spasm, muscle gets spasm, then patient may suffer from the headache also and TM joint pain. So relaxation exercises, yoga, meditation also include in a rehabilitation program. These are my references.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the wonderful sharing the knowledge with us. Thank you so much. Participants, if there is any query, please drop in the chat box. Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, there is one question from the participant.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the reason behind grinding the teeth cause the degenerative changes in TM joint?
Okay, grinding may occur due to the stressful condition. If the person is suffering from the stress, that also lead to the grinding of teeth. What occur when we grind the teeth, that lead to the normal alignment of the teeth are get lost. Also, I already told you about occlusion position. When the teeth are in normal, not in normal position, that lead to the retrusion or protrusion of the mandible, and that lead to the stressing forces. If the protrusion will be occur more, that lead to the retrodiscal pad get more stretched. If the protrusion occur. If the retrusion of the mandible occur, that lead to compressive stresses on the mandible. So by the changing in the position of the teeth, if the teeth are not in proper position, that also lead to the changing in the stressing forces on the TM joint. So normal alignment of the teeth and normal position of the teeth are very important. Because of grinding, that lead to the abnormal position of the teeth. Alignment will be get altered, and that lead to the TM joint problem. If the person is suffering from any abnormality of the teeth position or occlusion, any occlusion, that is protrusion, overbite or underbite, that is correction of the teeth will be done by the orthodontist to correct the teeth position with any braces or with the surgical correction to cure the problem.
Okay, ma'am. There is one another question.
Yes, ma'am.
What will be the effective method of treatment for the patient suffering from recurrent dislocation of temporomandibular joint?
Okay, recurrent dislocation of the temporomandibular joint because of what reason? First of all, laxity of the capsule, tendon are lax, muscle are weak. What is the first of all reason? Okay, temporomandibular joint dislocation. If the person having more laxity of the or more overactivity of the lateral pterygium, I already explained. The lateral pterygium have attachment with the anterior aspect of the disc. If it overactive, that also lead to the disc displacement and position alteration of the position of the condyles. Okay, so what is the first of all reason? Medical management also will be done if the person is suffering from the recurrent dislocation, that is the laxity of the capsule. Then application of the capsule will be done, that is a tightening of the joint capsule. Then if the person having a disc displacement, recurrent disc displacement, at the time also plication of the disc also done, that is a reattachment, tightening of the attachment of the disc, that is creating a more appropriate position, maintain the more appropriate position of the disc capsules, so the reducing the chances of the dislocation. Also there may be surgical procedure like a condylotomy, where the osteotomy of neck of condyle to reposition the proper position of the mandible will be achieved by that, or maybe the proper splint positions. Splint will be also given to proper position. Okay, you have to strengthen the muscle. Weakness is there, only laxity is there. What is the reason? You should first of all find out. After, according to that, you can manage the patient.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, there is one question. In child age, there is bruxism is normal or is abnormal?
Yes, ma'am.
In some children, during night, bruxism is done. So it is the normal or abnormal?
Okay, maybe it be the children's, maybe due to epilepsy also lead to the bruxism. Okay, grinding of the teeth. What is the reason? You should medical condition of the patient. If may suffer from any medical conditions, you should identify that also.
Okay, ma'am. There is one another question. How can we treat the patient with reduced temporomandibular joint range of motion due to tobacco habit?
Okay, tobacco is one of the reasons that lead to the patient may suffering from the TM joint dysfunction. The first of all, that habit should be discontinued. Tell the patient to stop tobacco smoking or tobacco chewing. That have to stop that. Then you can use a massage that may lead to the spasm of the muscle. You can use a massage technique also. Mobilization technique. TM joint mobilization technique are very helpful to increase the range of motion and reduce the spasm of the muscle, that is kneading, affluras or the deep friction massage. Also the MET you can apply. Okay, these are the technique you can use for the increasing range of motion and increasing the muscle strength also, and relax the muscle also.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for this wonderful sharing the knowledge with us. It is a very amazing session, and you will give very depth knowledge about anatomy, biomechanics, evaluation of the temporomandibular joint, as well as the physiotherapy treatment about the temporomandibular joint. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Neelam ma'am. And thank you to all the participants who are attending this webinar. Thank you so much. Thank you, Prakash sir, Mehul sir. Thank you all the participants. Thank you.